Bears, they are so good-natured when they perform in the circus. We watch the bear riding his bike in a circle or dancing, and we don't think about the fact that they are in fact formidable and dangerous representatives of the animal world. This is one of the biggest animals, which mainly lives in forests, but can also be found in mountainous areas and tundra. The weight of these animals varies from species to species, and the average ranges from 200 to 600 kilograms, with a body length of about 2 m. Although this animal is a carnivore, it feeds mostly on plant food, berries, nuts, grass, and acorns. As for meat, it eats insects, frogs, and rodents. Although in general, the brown bear is an omnivore, its diet can be supplemented with other types of food, depending on the situation. Despite the apparent clumsiness, brown bear excellently swims, climbs trees, and can reach speeds of up to 50 kilometers per hour. Its powerful musculature gives it enormous punching power. One paw can break the back of a large animal such as a moose or wild boar. With its sharp teeth, this predator can bite through a hunting rifle. The closest relative of the brown bear is the polar or polar bear. This predatory mammal is considered the largest of all bear species. It can be up to 3 meters long and weighs about a ton. Average polar bears range in size from 2 to 2.5 meters and weigh an average of 500 kilograms. It lives in northern latitudes, on drifting ice floes, and hunts fish that are later eaten, as well as other sea creatures and even walruses. Their strength is so great that one blow can be fatal for their prey. Polar bears are excellent swimmers, but they are also quite agile on land, demonstrating agility and quick movement. In the nature, polar and brown bears don't cross each other, but if they were to meet each other, in spite of similarity of characters and tenacity, and use of cunning, the theory of probability says that the polar bear would have superiority over the brown one. When comparing these relatives, the polar bear has sharper eyesight and higher intelligence than the brown bear, and in terms of mass and volume it also holds the palm, although the brown bear is superior to the polar bear in sharpness of smell. Therefore, in a supposed fight between these predators, the northern brother would win. The brown bear is found in taiga forests, mountains, and coniferous forests teeming with boreal forests. In permanent habitats it can forage in numerous populations. In the midst of winter a female bear gives birth to brown cubs. As their development and maturation comes, what happens after the little brown bear cubs are born? It is worth noting that the mother bear does not have a permanent mate. During the mating season, which begins in late spring, several males claim the role of a mate at once. During this period they are extremely aggressive and fiercely compete with each other. Fights often end up fatal for one of the rivals. The winner forms a pair with the female, but the union lasts no more than a month. Then the female bear remains alone, and in winter and January brown cubs are born. Most often there are 2 of them, and they are very tiny, one calf rarely weighing more than 500 grams. In the first 2 months the cubs don't leave the den, but stay by their mother's side all the time. It is during this period of the family they are the most vulnerable, as brown bears are not a protected rare species, except for some, then the hunting season is open for them. Dens with cubs are often a desired target for hunters. In areas where there are significant bear populations, bear trails are very noticeable, which are used to find these animals. A newborn brown bear cub is born with a sparse coat, with covered ears and eyes. After 2 weeks, the ears are fully formed and the eyes open. The first emergence from the den occurs at 3 months of age. By this time, the brown cubs reach the size of an average dog and weigh 3 to 6 kilograms. During this time, they feed exclusively on milk, but a new food, plant food, appears first in summer. Imitating their mother, the cubs start trying new dainties, roots, berries, nuts, wild oats, worms, and other insects. During the first year of life, the cubs do not leave their mother. They continue to live with her, spending another winter together. By the age of 3-4 years, the cubs are considered sexually mature and begin to live an independent life. But they reach adulthood at the age of 8 to 10 years. The mature brown bear is a big forest animal, weighing up to 300 to 400 kilograms. However, there is one known species called the Kodiakas that lives in Alaska, in which males can weigh up to 750 kilograms. Coloration is mostly brown, but can vary from straw yellow to dark almost black. The fur is very dense, thick and long, and the inhabitants of northern latitudes' fur is longer than in the south. Its tail is short and hidden under its fur, and its long black claws reach 10 centimeters in length. Becoming an independent adult, the brown bear begins to look for its own territory, and males have 7 to 10 times more personal space than females. Despite their formidable appearance, these animals eat plant food and invertebrates and gain blubber during summer, but if a bear has not gained enough weight, it may wake up in midwinter and go hunting. They are extremely aggressive, attacking anyone who crosses their path and posing a serious threat to humans. The polar bear is without a doubt one of the most amazing animals on our planet. This is even evidenced by the fact that these majestic animals manage to survive in one of the most extreme and coldest places on Earth. We all know that polar bears, especially cubs, can be incredibly adorable, but what many people don't know is that they are also very intelligent and resourceful. There are a myriad of facts worth learning about these stunning giants. To expand your knowledge about polar bears, we bring you some interesting facts about polar bears. Although polar bears are usually born on land, they spend most of their time at sea. Their scientific name, Ursus maritimus, means sea bear. Polar bears are believed to have evolved from a population of brown bears about 5 million years ago. They developed unique abilities that help them survive in the very cold Arctic region. However, even though they have been separate species for a long time, polar bears can still breed with brown bears and produce reproductive capable grizzly and polar bear hybrids. This phenomenon occurs both in the wild and in captivity, but very rarely. The most distinctive feature of the polar bear is the completely white fur, but it is not quite what it appears to be. In fact, their hair follicles are transparent hollow tubes, which makes their fur reflect the light around them. However, their fur may sometimes appear slightly yellowish or greenish. The yellowing is due to age and dirt, while the greenish color is due to algae that can grow in the polar bear's fur in unnaturally warm and humid conditions. Another surprising color-related fact is that their skin is actually black. This helps them retain heat. Their tongue is also heavily pigmented and partly due to a lot of blood flowing to it, sometimes even has a dark blue color. Due to the lack of human development in its remote habitat beyond the Arctic Circle, the polar bear retains more of its original range than any other predator in existence. However, despite this, it is listed as a vulnerable species, as its population is only 20,000 to 25,000 worldwide. Considering the fact that the average male polar bear weighs up to 700 kilograms and grows up to 3 meters in length, it is the largest predator in the world. The heaviest polar bear ever recorded reportedly weighed an incredible 1,002 pounds. It was a male, shot in northwest Alaska in 1960. The polar bear is an excellent swimmer and can often swim for days at a time. One bear swam continuously for 9 days in the cold Bering Sea, covering a distance of 687 kilometers to reach the ice not far from land. They tend to swim at a speed of 10 kilometers per hour. When walking, polar bears tend to have a bulky gait and maintain an average speed of about 5.6 kilometers per hour. However, despite their gigantic size, they can run at speeds of up to 40 kilometers per hour. Although the polar bear is the world's largest predator, its adorable polar bear cubs are born even smaller than human babies, yet they are more intelligent because they quickly learn to remain perfectly still while their mothers hunt so as not to spook their prey. When hunting seals, their most common prey, polar bears use a wide range of dexterous techniques. Supposedly they even cover their black noses with their paws to avoid being spotted in the snow. However, their most common hunting method is still hunting. The bear uses its excellent sense of smell to find the seal's breathing holes and lies down nearby in silence, waiting for the seal to appear. The bear can lie in ambush for hours. After a seal exhales, the bear notices its breath, lowers its front paw, and pulls it onto the ice. Polar bears are amazingly obsessed with their cleanliness. After eating, they spend up to half an hour grooming and cleaning their fur, to make sure no dirt or food residue is left on it. After a good meal and thorough cleaning, polar bears like to rest often in funny, almost human-like poses. Polar bears are the only species of bears that do not hibernate. They're active all year round. In fact, due to their exceptional geology, polar bears are unusually warm-blooded animals. Their body temperature never drops below 31 degrees Celsius. Sometimes they even avoid running and other strenuous physical activity to avoid overheating. Some researchers believe that intelligence may be as high as that of apes, thanks to their witty hunting ingenuity and ability to change their behavior in response to changing environmental challenges. If a polar bear is unable to catch food for more than 7 to 10 days, its metabolism slows down, and it begins to burn its fat reserves until it finds its next meal. Polar bears have a particularly developed sense of smell. They can track icebound seals up to 32 kilometers away, and can also smell a seal's breathing hole in the ice more than half a kilometer away, even if the seal is not there. Because of melting ice caps, scientists predict that 2/3 of the current populations of these amazing animals will disappear by 2050. Fortunately, efforts to protect these noble animals have led to restrictions on sport hunting, so let's hope the world population of polar bears won't dwindle too quickly. There is even an International Day of February 27 set aside for the polar bear. Despite sophisticated hunting techniques and cautious behavior, only about 2% of their attacks are successful. Arctic foxes tend to prey on polar bears, but a case of a strong friendship between the two animals has been documented in Canada. They played together, and the giant bear even shared its food with its small fox friend. Where does the polar bear live? Cold is habitual for the bear, thanks to which this species appeared, and life in such conditions suits it. Near the habitat, the ocean must be present. These bears do not go far away from the mainland, but they can swim safely on the ice. Surprisingly, these animals can swim away from the coast even 100 kilometers. The record distance for a bear to swim away from shore is recorded at 600 kilometers. In the water, of course, they hope to catch their prey, which is why they are sometimes called sea bears. Maximum number of individuals live on the coast of the Arctic Ocean. These northern bears inhabit the coldest islands in the world. For example, the islands of Canada and Greenland, the islands of all the North Seas surrounding Eurasia, namely the Barents Sea, Chukchi Sea, East Siberian Sea, Sea of Okhotsk and Kara Sea, Laptev Sea and Beaufort Sea. The southernmost areas of polar bear habitat are the territory of Alaska and the coast of Norway. It is not uncommon for bears to come close to infrastructures in search of food. It is often reported in the news. In captivity, bears are kept in enclosures with large pools. They need water all the time, especially in summer. In the zoo you can often see a polar bear jumping into the water, swimming, playing, and only comes out on dry land to plunge down again. The most dangerous bears. Are bears dangerous to humans? Of course they are. After all, they are carnivorous and may well attack for hunger as well as many other reasons. But which bears are most dangerous to humans? North America is home to some of the largest Baribaul bears, distinguished by their black fur, sharp muzzle, and love of a hidden lifestyle. They rarely encounter humans, and under normal conditions they prefer to retreat rather than come out and engage in combat. However, under certain conditions, the bear may attack, such as when it comes to protecting cubs, the inability to retreat. Fishermen are also easily encountered with the Baribuls, since bears of this species also like to fish. If you behave calmly and do not approach, give the animal a chance to leave, it is likely to go away. Attacks are usually provoked precisely by illiterate behavior. Among brown bears, the Kodiaks are the largest. They live on the islands of the Kodiak archipelago, where humans are not often encountered, which rules out serious problems with predator attacks. Like the Baribula, these creatures prefer to live in secrecy, and they flee from humans, not seeking contact or in any way reveal their presence. But a bear with cubs or an aggressive male can be very dangerous. It should be borne in mind that the weight of representatives of this species weighs up to a ton, and height almost reaches 2 meters 80 centimeters. At the moment it is a protected species, and natural isolation on the islands is ideal both for the bears themselves and for humans. The brown bear in Siberia is smaller, reaching 2 meters 60 centimeters and 800 kilograms. However, it is more dangerous due to its considerable distribution across the continent. Being omnivorous and very interested in human life, these predators sometimes openly lose fear of humans. They come to populated areas and are primarily interested in food scraps and the possibility of obtaining sustenance. Tourists are highly discouraged to leave food near the camp, precisely because it can attract bears. Attracted by food, protective or overexcited bears, they can attack, and their claws, which are 8 centimeters long, and their powerful jaws are very dangerous. The brown bear is a grizzly and is even more aggressive than its Siberian counterpart. It attacks people more often, despite the fact that it prefers to eat fish. The grizzly grows to 2 meters 20 centimeters in height and weighs 400 to 450 kilograms. Its attacks can be spontaneous. Sometimes it can be very difficult to understand what triggered the bear, and therefore tourists in places of its occurrence, as well as locals, have to behave very carefully. Especially careful must be those who go to the river. The most dangerous bear in the world is the polar bear, the largest modern polar bear. Its height can exceed 3 meters and weigh a ton. Dwelling in the circumpolar areas, he does not often come into contact with humans, but still mishaps happen. The hunting instinct of a polar bear is unusually developed, and the conditions of the tundra or icy wilderness allow the bear to see its prey for kilometers and not to hide. Seeing a man, this predator can both show curiosity just to observe and go on the attack. Especially aggressive are those individuals that have already had contact with poachers in the past and suffered from their actions. They tend to attack humans unconditionally. Thus, bears can indeed be dangerous to humans, and some of their species pose a real threat. It is worth knowing that competent behavior and calmness often save even in direct contact with predators, but it is best not to encounter them at all.